so before scoring a 60-plus yard touchdown. Let's just get into the short term. What does this mean for the Texans? We appreciate everyone for coming through. It is SNL, best source for Texans digital content. We'll be at practice a little later. We'll ask D'Amico about this, as well as the guys in the locker room. But what does this mean in the short term, the Texans being without Nico Collins? Because we knew this was going to happen against New England, but now you're looking at it from a 4-game perspective. What does this mean?
This means that you better see a better version of Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell than what you have seen up to this point. I mean, this offense has been Nico Collins reliant. We saw what it looked like without Nico Collins in the second half against Buffalo. Now that's with a half to make adjustments, knowing that the guy's not coming back in. So they better have a really solid plan. And thank goodness this wide receiver room is as deep as it was supposed to be, or as it is, because, Nico Collins, last year was the first year that he stayed mostly healthy, but prior to that, he'd been hurt a bunch, and now he's going to miss at least 4 weeks here with the hamstring injury. And we keep saying at least 4 weeks. That doesn't guarantee that he's right away back. I mean, he could miss more time, but it's at least 4 weeks because he's headed to the injured reserve. So now you lean on Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell through the air, and Landry. They have got to figure out how to run the football, and maybe that's as simple as Mixon gets healthy. But now Joe Mixon's health becomes even more paramount for this team because he's close to coming back, you would think. And as soon as he gets back, he's got to stay healthy because he's seemingly the only way that they're going to be able to run the football.
Here was my thing with the with the Nico Collins injury, and I'm trying to make some sense of it, because I think there's a couple things that come into account. Appreciate everyone for joining us on the go. We'll always react to breaking news. We'll always get you covered on what stuff goes on. This was my thought. First of all, D'Amico was very honest about this injury, more honest than he usually is, and he mentioned weeks. He mentioned week to week, and he said typically a hamstring injury can be a 2-week injury. Here's my thing. Let's assume that Nico Collins is good to go after 2 weeks. Let's assume that he would have been good to go and he would have been ready to go. Shortly after that, they got to play the Jets. I mean, so you're coming back against the Colts, and then you're going to have a short week against the Jets on that turf. So it's kind of like if you're dealing with a soft tissue injury and you're Nico Collins, yeah, it's cool. You come back against the Colts in the divisional game, but then with the hamstring injury, you're then asking him, or maybe expecting him or whatever, to go play on a field that's notorious for soft tissue injuries, a field that he got hurt on last year, by the way, against the Jets. So I always thought it was kind of an awkward time for this to be going on, and I do wonder if that's something that they take into account when it comes to resting Nico Collins and perhaps playing it the way that they're playing it. It could be more serious, but when D'Amico said weeks, I immediately thought, okay, so he's back against the Colts, and then he's going to have to play against the Jets on Halloween night. So I wonder if there's if that element comes into play.
Well, the scary thing is it's something far more serious, and it's not a 4-week endeavor. I mean, we talked about the scenario of it maybe in 2 weeks because D'Amico Ryan said weeks. Hey, you're back for the Colts and the Jets, like you laid out. It's not a guarantee that he's back after 4 weeks. I mean, putting a guy on IR, there's at least a thought that this is something that could be a much longer term thing than just a handful of weeks. Because if there was a chance he makes his return against the Jets, that's probably not ideal. Okay, be smart. Let's save ourselves from even being able to put him on the field. But my worry is that this is a beyond 4 weeks issue for Nico Collins, because if they thought he could just, nurse it for a couple of weeks, maybe play in, the third or fourth week, that's one thing. But they're saying no playing for the next 4 weeks. Then it's a hamstring injury. So if it's not something super serious, you're always worried about it popping back up. But if it is something super serious, now you're talking about the Lions game that he could miss, the Cowboys game that he could miss, and then you get into that back part of the schedule that gets really important for this Texans team.
Yeah, and the other thing is it makes these winnable, quote, winnable games more important. Like you gotta take care of business. I almost look at this now as like a 4-week window where you got the Patriots. That's really the only game you look at and say, man, they should definitely take care of business here. Like, it's not easy to go to New York on a short week. It's the Colts have been playing okay. I mean, they're not great, but the Colts are the Colts. We know how division games can go. And then you got to go to Green Bay. So I think this makes this week's game even more important. Does it really impact how we looked at this week's game? Probably not, because we didn't anticipate Nico Collins playing really this week and maybe not even next week. So in the short term, it is what it is, like in the very, very short term. But it makes taking care of business and handling this even more important. I also think it gives Tank Dell an opportunity to get involved. It's no longer a luxury. It's no longer a maybe. It's an opportunity for Tank Dell to get involved. And the other thing to keep an eye on, and we haven't been to practice yet, are both tight ends healthy? Because I think Dalton Schultz is a big part of what CJ Stroud does on third down without Nico Collins. We saw it last week. Are the tight ends healthy? Or could it be even worse? That's something else to keep an eye on when it comes to the Nico thing. But I could see why, if it was a week-to-week type of injury, I could see why the Texans decided to do what they did.
Absolutely. I mean, like, you save yourself from being able to put him on there because he's down for 4 weeks in that quick turnaround, which is, NRG Stadium at home against the Colts and then on the road. And it gives Nico time. Look, if it is just a 2-week thing, it then gives him time to not have to rush back or feel like he has to rush back. He can ramp up slowly. But again, I think this is to assume it's just a 4-week injury would be a bit of a leap, because it is a hamstring. It's not typically, when a guy's down with a serious hamstring injury, a short-term thing. It's usually a little bit longer than that.
The other thing is, like, what does Bobby Slowick do? Like, what is Bobby Slowick going to do? It's definitely not going to be business as usual. And quite frankly, a lot of the plays that Nico Collins was making, I just seemed like it was just a guy making a play. It wasn't like he was getting schemed open or anything like that. It was just a guy making a play. So Now, do you rely on Bobby more, like from a schematic standpoint? What does that look like? You need Joe Mixon back now. And
yes.
you also don't want to rush Joe Mixon. This is the luxury. I don't think it's not necessarily a luxury. You've earned it, but this is what being able to win games when you're not playing your best ball does. Because let's be honest, the Texans could easily, like, if a couple bounces, they could be 0-5. Like, they're too good to go 0-5, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they could be 0-5. They're 4-1 because they've taken care of business. So it gives you a little bit of a cushion when something like this does happen. But you're going to need other things to step up. You're going to need the defense to step up. You're going to have to start getting some of those sacks. You're not going to, no more of this. We're close. We're pressure rate, all that garbage. Screw that. You got to start getting sacks. When you get gifted turnovers, you got to catch them. Azeez Al-Shaair, you got to catch the turnovers. You got to take care of that business. You've got to be able to steal points at a more urgent level than they have the last couple of weeks. Like all these things, like when we say don't ignore in victory what you would not ignore in defeat, they've got to take advantage of those things now, because you're going to be without the best receiver in the NFL statistically through 5 weeks. So you're going to have to figure some stuff out. I do think that they have good enough stuff on this team to be able to step up and do those things, but they have to now, because you're not going to be able to overcome that and win games without Nico Collins, without increasing your level of play around a little bit more.
This is one of the reasons you have Stefon Diggs on this team, is because Nico Collins has an injury history and Stefon Diggs doesn't have an injury history. He basically plays every game, every year. So you can count on him. Now, what level of play can you get from Diggs? You're not going to get, superstar from Buffalo, but can you get an occasional big time performance out of Diggs as maybe the number one guy in that role, stepping outside, not playing as much slot? Like, that's a Bobby Slowick mixing and matching, because this is not just, okay, Xavier Hutchinson, go run all of Nico Collins' routes. Like, that's not what you do here. What you do here, because Nico's gone for at least a month, is you sort of tweak this offense. Okay, now it's around Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell. What do we want to do with those guys? And then you fill in around those guys as well. But that's part of the reason Diggs is here, is he is an Iron Man. He plays every single week for this. He played basically every single week in Buffalo. He's played every week here for the Texans. So you've got to rely on him. He's a big time player. He makes a lot of money. He's been solid. Probably not an excellent, superstar performance on his ledger just yet, but let's see if he's capable of that. That's what the Texans have to find out. And maybe they already know if he is or isn't. The scary thing would be is if the level of talent from Diggs is just, hey, that superstar level, that star level, he doesn't access it every week. He's got it every now and then. That's when you get, okay, well, what can Tank Dell do? Because you haven't been able to get Tank Dell going. You haven't used Tank Dell like a real wide receiver a lot of gadget stuff, sideways stuff. Use him like you used him last year. Get him the rock. Let him go out there, run routes, beat guys, and have some success for this team.
Well, I think the defense does have potential to I don't know about carry this team, but I do think this defense has a good potential to keep you in games, even if the offense isn't performing at a high level. And I think that's the good thing for this Texan squad, is that the defense, I mean, they're coming off doing what they did to Josh Allen. That's the good news. It's a next man up. It happens. It's inevitable. We knew it was going to happen. And the other reality of it is this has been really what Nico Collins, outside of last year where he only missed a couple of games, and I guess you could count the Jets game since he left early, it's kind of been the biggest knock on Nico Collins is the inability to stay on the field. So that didn't just completely disappear after one season. This has kind of been what it is with Nico Collins. And this is why, all the victory laps about the contract and stuff, the biggest questions about Nico Collins were, can he stay on the field despite last year? So I actually think from the contract perspective, it makes the contract look good from both points of view, both Collins and the Texans. But this is it's just one of those things that you invested heavily in Stefon Diggs. He needs to be a wide receiver one. CJ Stroud keeps insisting that Tank Dell is one of the best receivers in the league. It needs to happen now. You need to see what's up with Tank Dell. And oh, by the way, Joe Mixon running game. It would be nice to see either one of those things. The other question I have is this: like, we don't know how long the injury is. Do we see the Texans perhaps make a trade or something like that? Because the deadline's November 5th. You'll have a good grasp of where Nico is. Maybe like a running back or a wide receiver or something like that. Do we see the Texans maybe make a move at the deadline? They're going to have the off day after Halloween. They're going to have the off Sunday, and then the trade deadline is 5 days after that. I wonder if there's a possibility that maybe they make a trade.
Oh man, I hadn't thought about that. Especially for a wide receiver. Look, we could talk about Xavier Hutchinson, and we could talk about John Mechie, and we could talk about Steven Sims for however long he's on the roster, and Robert Woods. But those guys are not replace Nico Collins type guys. And yes, you put them on the field, but they're filling in for somebody else because you rely on Diggs and Dell to do the replacing, and then you fill in around it. I would tell you a trade for a wide receiver tells you this is a way worse injury than just 4 weeks. That would be my fear.
I guess, but you start to kind of look at the roster a little bit differently, where whenever, even when Nico was going to be out this weekend, you look at these guys 4 down and they become 3 down after this, and you're like, man, do I really feel good about this? Like, do I feel good about John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, and Robert Woods at receiver, or would it be worth adding depth? It just, when you have the 3 and everyone's healthy, you don't look at it the same. But when this happens, I kind of just look at it and I'm like, maybe this is why on the draft we were talking about, man, maybe they could draft a receiver still or something like that. It doesn't. You kind of look at the roster a little bit different. The other thing is, you're hopefully sitting at 5-1. And then who knows what your record will be at that time. Maybe you're willing to be a little bit more aggressive. And, oh, by the way, the only wide receivers you have under contract after this year are Collins and Dell. So I don't know. I do wonder how they're going to approach that, what it's going to be. But
I'm not super comfortable with this wide receiver room after Diggs. And I would put Tank in that.
Including Tank?
I would put Tank in that. He hasn't got going yet. And maybe we could just blame Bobby and blame the offense. And there's a chance for that to get fixed quick if that's the case. But I'm not super confident in this wide receiver room right now. Like Xavier Hutchinson had 2 really nice plays back to back against Buffalo, but they don't use him a ton. Like Robert Woods is a 32-year-old journeyman wide receiver at this point in his career. Like John Mechie wasn't even active for the first few weeks, and Steven Sims isn't a receiver; he's a return man. So, and
so are you saying? So you're saying that they should make a move?
If they believe Collins is missing more than 4, then I believe they should make a move. Add somebody in, because there's not. I mean, they added Jared Wayne to the practice squad. That's not going to be a guy that you're putting out there on Sundays right now. They've got the other wide receiver on the practice squad, or they got Johnny Johnson on the practice squad. Like that's not going to be a guy you're putting out there on Sundays.
Guy, dude.
You're confident in.
That's Vandy's dude.
Xavier Johnson is a rookie that's on the practice squad. Like I'm not confident, and maybe they are. Look, they've been confident in guys when we haven't been confident in them. Damian Pierce is the perfect example. Maybe they do feel like Xavier Hutchinson as wide receiver 3 is good enough for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long Nico's down. Like maybe they do. I don't right now.
Yeah, and we actually had this discussion. How important is Nico on the pecking order? I think we arrived at 3, right? Like the third most important player on your team. So
I think we had him at 2. I think it was Stroud, Nico, one of the ends, and Joe Mixon.
Yeah, so we'll see what it looks like. I think it's going to be an interesting challenge. I will say that this is probably an opponent you want in the short term, and then you figure it out and the ice up with Nico Collins. But it's going to be at least 4 weeks. I wouldn't don't anticipate that he's 100% going to be back. But I wonder if the caution thing is coming into play with the short week against the Jets and all that. But who knows? And I like Xavier Hutchinson. I just don't think he's ready to immediately step up like this. He's in his second year. I don't want to call him developmental, but do I think Xavier Hutchinson can step in and do what Noah Brown did last year? I don't. I don't think he's to that point right now where he can fill in and do what Noah Brown did last year. And he might not, he doesn't have to, because last year Noah Brown was the number 2. Right now, your number 2 is Tank Dell. And I think that's really the question right now. Like, and you brought up a good point. Like, what is Tank Dell? What are you about? Like, are you being underused? What are you about? CJ Stroud says you're one of the best receivers in the league. Right now, you're clearly the third best receiver on this squad. You've been banged up. What is Tank Dell about? When Nico Collins is out, can Tank Dell carry the load? We saw Nico do it last year. When Tank Dell left. Nico Collins elevated his game. Can Tank Dell do that? That's the question. Before the season, we're talking about who's the best receiver. Some people were saying Tank Dell. Maybe that's kind of like a little bit of local cooking, home cooking or whatever. But Tank Dell's going to have to step up the way Nico Collins did. It's a must. Same thing with Diggs. And I have confidence in Diggs. I think Diggs can do his thing. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes with Tank. But I think this is a big opportunity for Tank.
You want a little and I agree with you. And this is a guy that I would say he's getting to the point where the only blame is how he's used in the offense, because like he's getting far enough away. It's not like he had an ACL or an MCL or a ligament or something like that. He broke his leg. He looked good in the offseason running around. He looked good in preseason running around, and he's looked physically fine. So like I don't think it's a physical thing with Tank Dell. So okay, Collins is out for at least a month, and I've got a hamstring reference point here for you in a second. Like figure out how to get Diggs and Dell going, mix in whoever else you need to in the passing game. And then when Joe Mixon's healthy, hammer the run game if he can get it going. And the scary part, Landry,
can they hammer the run game?
That's the scary part is if Mixon's not the solvent for all the issues that they've had running the football, then they're in a really precarious position as an offense. Then you're going to have large stretches of the game where you just look at 7 and you say, save us and figure it out for us. Like there's going to be stretches.
Which really, like you say that, it doesn't make me, I don't get like anxiety when you say 7 has to save us.
No, I don't either. It's just not ideal. No,
and this is going to be interesting. This is really kind of a Bobby Slowick challenge. This is a this is a challenge for everyone, but it'll be wild. I think the defense steps up too.
This could be one of the like bold, I did this resume parts of Bobby Slowick's career. I lost the leading receiver in the NFL, and then for the next month plus, the offense did this through the air without him because I figured it out. Like there's an opportunity for a big, bold, like achievement to Bobby Slowick's resume as an offensive coordinator if he can get this done.
We're about 450 deep here on the simulcast combined, reacting to the Nico Collins stuff. Get the comments in the chat. Supers go to the front if y'all want to break down and bring something into the conversation. Seems like there's a little bit of confidence in Xavier Hutchinson. I'm an Xavier Hutchinson guy. I just don't look at Xavier Hutchinson as ready to go as Noah Brown was last year in these types of situations. He might not need to. You're more of kind of a complete squad.
Yep. All right. So here's a little hamstring reference point for you. Okay. Week 5 last year, Kansas City Chiefs, Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson leaves the game with a hamstring injury. All right. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, that's week 5, does not return till week 14 when they play against the Vegas Raiders. Now, that's a Minnesota team.
They weren't good.
They weren't good. They didn't have high expectations.
He didn't have a contract yet.
He didn't have the contract yet. So there's a little seasoning to it, but 7-8 weeks for Justin Jefferson to come back from the hamstring injury, if it's a super serious one.
Here, the thing about that was he didn't have the contract and they weren't good.
Yes,
I do think
it's different.
No, but I think there is an element of a willingness to come back sooner when you have a contract. Because quite frankly, I'll be honest with you. Like if I'm Nico Collins and I don't have a contract right now, I'm looking at pushing it and coming back a lot more different. And that's not to be selfish or anything, but the reality is
that's business.
That second contract's what you're playing for. Like that is what you're playing for. And he's in the between 20 to 30 range, assuming that he didn't have the contract. Right now, he might have some leverage even, like if he had done what he'd done up to this point and didn't have the contract. I think the fact that he's under contract, and I think he's cut from this cloth no matter what. I'm talking about myself. I'm telling on myself. This is not Nico Collins, okay? Myself. If I did not have a contract and I had a hurt hamstring, I'm taking my time a lot more than if I didn't. That's just me. You might be a hardo and you might be able to say, well, I'm going to be out there for my teammates no matter what. That's just me. I do think there's an element to that. And I think that's why they were cautious with Jefferson. And quite frankly, I think the team's the same too. Like yes. I don't think the Texans, they still look at Nico Collins as a long-term player on the squad no matter what. So I think even the team would look at it different with the hamstring.
Well, and here's another thing too. You've started so well. You stack a few more against some opponents that you feel like you should have a good chance against. And all of a sudden you get to Detroit, you get to Dallas when Nico is eligible to come back. If he's not 100% and you've done your job and you've won a bunch of games, you could say, hey, we need you for January. So take your time. Let's ease back into this thing. Let's not rush it. Let's not push it. If you'd lost Jacksonville, if you'd lost Buffalo and you're sitting here, you're like, hey, Nico, as soon as you've got a shot, let's get you back out there. But you've done a good job. If you can put some more wins on the scoreboard, you give yourself a little breathing room to be easy with the Collins return.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm 100% with you. You got to win this New England game, and then we'll adjust accordingly and see what's going on.
Couple of super chats here. Landry Kurtz Main says, I have faith in Mixon since his O-line was bad as well. So he feels like Mixon's going to solve a lot of the rushing issues when he gets back.
It's definitely going to be better.
It's definitely going to be better.
How much better, how great, don't know, but it's definitely going to be better.
And then Chris asks with a super chat, Devontae Adams is a long shot, right? Yes. I mean, I would go as far as to say from a contract standpoint and what you have to give up standpoint, it's probably a non-starter because he's still under contract for 2 more years.
Well, Diggs is only contract after this year.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. If all it is a second round pick and moving some money around, let's do it. But I just don't see that the Texans would operate that way.
Yeah, you threw out the name Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen. You got to look at teams that fall out or could fall out of doing anything this season. So, crappy teams or teams that start falling apart. There's nobody off the Patriots that I want that matters. The Raiders are going to jettison Adams. Does Jacoby Myers do anything for you? The Raiders probably aren't trading all their wide receivers. Thielen in Carolina. Everyone else feels like they kind of are hanging on right now. Now, somebody starts falling apart the next couple of weeks. Hey, call them, see what's up.
Yeah, I think you might be able to tread water here, though. I think you're okay. I think you're good.
Confidence level of the non-Diggs Dell wide receivers. Xavier Hutchinson's at the top. The non-Diggs Dell.
I guess like they're when he makes plays, they splash a little bit more, but I don't know about the steadiness. Like the overall steadiness, I can almost make a case for Woods.
That's who played most of Tank's snaps when Tank missed.
Yeah, like the overall just steady, like, okay, this guy's going to give you over the course of a game 5 catches for 30 yards or something like that, 35, like that's steady. But like this guy's going to make a 25-yard explosive. That's Hutchinson for sure. And then Mechie's probably somewhere in between that.
Well, again, this goes back to managing things with the offense. I mean, Diggs has played primarily in the slot with Nico available. Like, is Diggs now an outside wide receiver? So, okay, now you've got slot opportunities available. Are they going to put Robert Woods there? Are they going to put Xavier Hutchinson there? They'd put Woods there, is my guess. So, that's again, Bobby knows Nico's not coming back in a couple of weeks. So you can make some adjustments that are going to last for a month. If you want to change the way you're using Stefon Diggs and change the way you have to change the way you've been using Tank Dell because it's not working. But like you can rebuild's not the right word, but it's tweak and retool the way that you operate as an offense.
Yeah, I think even like with Nico, you could convince me like a low-level wide receiver trade would not be the craziest thing. You could convince me on that. You could perhaps sell me on that.
Yeah.
But
if there was a free agent that was worth a crap, I think we'd know about it.
But
right?
do you agree though, like with the contract, like this is why part of one of the main reasons why Nico Collins was such a interesting discussion, because there was a lot of victory laps going on. Oh, they're worth every penny, man. They save money and all that. And it's like, man, we're in week 4. I didn't want to kind of in week 4. We got to see Nico go through the whole season kind of like he did last year. And I think that's kind of the thing with Stingley too, like Stingley's playing really, really well right now. Like one healthy year doesn't eliminate the possibility and sometimes the bad luck that guys have getting injured. That's why I think it actually ended up being a perfect contract.
It's literally the reason he's in the top 12 and not in the top 10 of average annual value. Like because he has injury concerns. Like if he had a more steady health resume, he'd have been a top 10 guy and stayed a top 10 guy when he got his contract, because he was top 10 and then a couple other deals got done and then he got knocked down. So, he's 12th in average annual value on his contract right now because he has an injury history. And like you feel like it was a steal because of the production. Well, this is the other side of the Nico Collins experience.
Here's the other question that I have, Cody. I've always said CJ saves all butts, kind of like Deshaun did back in the day. What if Nico was saving all butts?
That's certainly a scary proposition for this offense.
Because life without Nico has not been fun. Now, a lot of times when you've had life without Nico, last year you didn't have Tank either, and it wasn't like a large sample size last year, but it wasn't that fun. Now I think the Stefon Diggs, I think Stefon Diggs becomes like a 15 target a game type of guy during this stretch. I think I know that CJ loves Tank, but it does feel like Diggs is going to be the guy that's just going to get a ton of targets.
I mean, he was the second most targeted player in football while he was in Buffalo. Only Devontae Adams had more targets than him in that 4-year stretch. So if you want to push to find out if Stefon Diggs still has star potential, feed him the rock and find out. And I'm totally fine with that. I have a belief that you can send the ball Stefon Diggs' way 15 times a game and have a good offense and be comfortable with it.
I think Schultz is also someone that we're not really talking about enough. Like I think that Schultz, assuming that he's healthy and good to go and everything like that, I think Schultz is another guy to keep an eye on. And we saw it when Nico left. He made some big plays on third down in the second half. We really haven't seen a lot from him. Now, the other thing is, is it more difficult? I actually think that we might see, if the top 2 tight ends are healthy, we might see 3 tight ends a little bit more. Not on the field at the same time, but I could see
him involved.
If Quitoriano is good to go, and you never know. I mean, he had to walk to the plane.
That's your guy. You can't dunk on your own guy.
I mean, I just did it before everybody else did it. Okay, it's like the B Rabbit 8 Mile. I know you are going to make fun of my Quitoriano love, but in all seriousness, I think maybe you have him active to help out block and allow Schultz to go out for more passes. I'm not saying that he's like a great blocker, but I think you use the other 2 tight ends, whether it's Stover or Quitoriano, to allow Schultz to perhaps be more of a receiving threat. I could see that being a potential adjustment. So I would keep an eye on that. Now,
take some of the wear and tear off of Schultz's
workload. Hold on just a sec. I'm doing it. That's assuming all these tight ends are healthy. That's assuming all these tight ends are healthy. Practice is in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we will know if they're on the injury report. So I knocked on the wood, but assuming all the tight ends are healthy, and we know British Brooks is out for the season, I could see a situation where Quitoriano knows the playbook, and Stover are asked to block a little bit more so that you can free Schultz up to go out for some more passes.
Just lighten his workload, have him a little bit more fresh there in the second half, because he's not having to go out there and block defensive ends and blitzing linebackers and stuff. Yeah.
By the way, appreciate everyone for coming through. If you're just joining us, and we're 500 plus deep on the simulcast, 500 plus deep on the simulcast. Nico Collins is going on injured reserve. Now, some of you will ask, well, what does that mean? That means that he has to miss at least 4 weeks. And Cody Stoots has it below right here. That means he'll miss at least the Patriots, at Green Bay, Colts, and at Jets. So Nico Collins, man, he's avoiding 3 road games, man. Look at that. He must like that home cooking.
Well, he's also missing the Colts, which, I mean, he's
yeah, but he likes it in Indy. He likes it in Indy.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are the look. If you can split these games, that's good. If you can take 3 or 4, woo, you're in. I mean, you're in excellent shape. You got to take this Patriots game though. I don't want to say must win. I don't want to do that. People get upset. You got to take that one though.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at these 4. You knew Nico Collins was not playing this weekend, so that hadn't changed your approach to the Patriots. But Collins on IR has changed maybe Packers, Colts, Jets. So figure it out. You go 3 or 4 in this stretch, and you're in a really good spot for that back part of the season. That you'll have 2 primetime games after the little mini bye for the Jets. That's a small positive there in the middle of the schedule. You get the mini bye because you play Thursday, then you don't play again until Sunday night.
I'm going to do this. You ready?
What are you going to do?
All right. So there's 3 observations I'm getting on the chat. Shout out to the chat. Number 1, I feel like there is a much more silent majority when it comes to Tegan Quitoriano than people are letting it. This is kind of the time when people talk about silent majorities. I feel like there's a big silent majority when it comes to Tegan Quitoriano. I can tell a lot of y'all are Quitoriano fans. That's number 1. Number 2, someone just threw out, why don't they trade for Debo? Let me say it. He's not playing well. He's only broken 1 tackle. They tried to trade him apparently leading up to the draft, they did try to trade Deebo Samuel. That was the word on the street. They were trying to trade him. Deebo Samuel, he can help you in the run game. He can help you in the receiving game. He knows the system. He wouldn't even have to figure out the system.
He'd be here after Diggs.
Hey, look, San Francisco's in a weird spot, man. They're going to have to pay their quarterback eventually. Deebo's not quite in his prime. He adds a lot of elements that you need. Now, do you play him at running back the whole time? No, but he likes D'Amico. He knows these guys. Why not make it work? Let's get Texans cap on the assignment. Let's trade for Deebo Samuel. They've already paid Brandon Ayuk. Jennings, hey, the Jennings is not playing enough, and he's freaking awesome for them.
Yeah,
he is freaking awesome. They're not able to play him. Deebo might be the odd man out. Let's trade for Deebo Samuel. Let's help the run game. Let's help the receiving depth. Let's go. Come on. Who says no?
You
take on the bad contract. You take on the bad contract. Who says no?
You add a dude like Deebo Samuel to this squad.
Who says no?
Can't wait for Bobby to not get him the ball.
Man, Bobby likes running reverses with Hutchinson. Debo's getting at least 25 carries a game, and they're all reverses.
I'm texting Cap.
Really, who says no? Who says no?
I'm not. I would tell you right now, San Fran would say no.
He's playing terrible, and they're not playing good. They tried to trade him at the draft so that they could sign Ayuk, and that was before Jennings had how many ever damn touchdowns he had the other day.
I would be fascinated to know if the Texans ever checked in on Deebo when they were checking in on their veteran wide receivers, ultimately ending up with Diggs.
Let Tank be a normal receiver. Let Deebo be in the slot.
Wow, I like this idea. It's a good idea by you.
This is very EA Sports of me. And you do bring up a good point. Prime time. Would I put someone in timeout for suggesting this? Maybe, but it actually makes sense right now with where the Texans are.
Right, couple of super chats here, Landry. Gustavo,
Swarm.
GC as you call him. They need to call Hunter Renfrow. Who is
to do what? They need a dog sitter.
Dime also weighing in with a super chat. Hunter Renfrow, free agent.
What is going on right now?
I mean, I like Hunter Renfrow. I think he was
for what
in Vegas.
For what?
He can get slotty real quick. Chris with a super chat, and then Chris follows it up with a Madden trade. Pearson picks for Adams, cash fillers. He. I will say this. I'm in favor of the Hunter Renfrow idea. I believe he was underutilized in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I do not believe that Devontae Adams is an option.
Have you seen that picture of Hunter Renfrow with his girlfriend and his puppy?
What? Tell me about it. Is it
Dude,
a bad look?
It is the most.
He needs to go bald. If he showed up bald, I'd feel even more confident in him.
Look at this. This is Hunter Renfrow with the puppy.
Are you doing a screen share here?
Yeah, look at that.
I don't. Oh, here we go.
Pull it up. Look at that. The senior year at Clemson, man. He looks like a 35-year-old creeper.
If he showed up bald, I would be excited for the Hunter Renfrow resurgence.
I'd be creeped out. He looked like Jack Easterby. Tell me that guy doesn't look like Jack Easterby bald.
Stop doing that.
You're the one doing it.
Don't do that to Hunter Renfrow.
Nah, I'm in on this Deebo idea. I really am. I want to get the money to work. I really want to check this out. He's not playing good, man.
I texted Texans cap. I put it in the homework assignments.
Deebo. What are the Texans' biggest issues?
Rushing attack and
ding ding ding.
Yeah, there you go.
He would be your second best running back.
I mean, he's the first till Mixon gets back.
He would be your second best running back. He would add that juice. Oh, Stefon Diggs' contract expires after the year. What's up, Deebo?
I guess Deebo only has one more year, but you'd have him for next year. With no Diggs.
Yeah, what's up? Get fresh, man.
This is a great idea by you. I'm
telling you, man. Like he's not in their long-term plans. He's not in their long-term plans.
Like, I truly do believe, regardless of what happens this year with San Fran, he is playing his final year with the 49ers.
Yeah, he's always banged up. I agree. Debo been hurt. He's been hurt the last 4 years. He gets banged up, but you know what he does? He plays. He would have to do a little less. Get in the ice bath. Get in the ice bath. Hey, we'll see you. We'll see you after the Jets. We'll see you then. Just relax. Debo, come through.
Gustavo with the super chat. Call the Raiders for Devontae Adams.
Man, people love Devontae Adams.
Look, Devontae.
Now I'm going to go eat Taco Bell for lunch because you brought up Devontae Adams. So you know what? You're making me fatter, Gustavo, for doing that, for bringing up Devontae Adams. Now I'm going to have to go to Taco Bell.
Do you think that increases his house's resale value that he's got a Taco Bell in there?
Might decrease. Taco Bell's a polarizing topic. You either love it or you hate it. There's a lot of people who hate it.
The tough part about Adams is financially. Like Debo, you could screw around with the numbers and make it financially work pretty easy. Adams is signed to big deal, and he's got big money for the next couple of years. So financially, Adams gets a little weird. And look, if he's going for what he's going for, I would tell you Debo maybe goes for a little bit less because again, Adams is either the team's going to have to eat something to get added compensation, or I think the trade would be.
Adams annoys me, man. I'll be honest. Adams he annoys me. I'll just be honest.
He's really good though.
Yeah, but he's annoying.
Okay.
He annoyed me on that receiver thing. He was just, it's too much. It just kind of I don't know about this.
Well, Kittle annoyed you too.
Yeah, well, Kittle's just acting like he's 6 and his family's enabling him. Like they're getting him a slingshot and like a whistle for Christmas. Like, come on, man. Like, don't encourage this. He seems like a good guy. He seems like a nice guy. Debo's stats aren't good this year. That's the point.
That's why
I saw someone say he's averaging 2.3 yards per game. Yeah, that's the point.
That's why he's available.
That's the point. It's not a good situation, so maybe you find a situation. So yes, you're right.
Rich Boy brings up DeAndre Hopkins.
Come on.
I don't think that you could offer a sweetheart of a package. I don't think the Titans would do it.
What would Debo cost in draft compensation? We have a super chat. I have no idea. They tried to get rid of him. Right now.
If Adams is going for a 3, maybe a 2, then I would tell you Debo is a 3, maybe a 4.
I think Debo might get traded after this year. I think there's a good chance, honestly. Like I think there's a really good chance he gets traded after this year. Like very good chance.
I mean, there's obviously like you want to throw a player in there with a draft pick, like sure. Like I mean,
they want a free Jennings, man. They want a free Jennings and they want a free I might ask Grant Cohn, what would a Debo trade to Houston cost?
Get the cone zone on it.
I'm gonna ask him.
This is super. This. We're a month away from this game, but the Texan in Virginia wants to know: should CJ wear the Guardian cap against the Jets? No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. You don't need to wear the Guardian cap against the Jets. Hopefully the turf isn't frozen. But no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Tank back to number 2, and Mechie can be the number 3. What's given you any indication that John Mechie can be the number 3?
I don't know. People believe, man. He's a believer. He's a hell of a football player, according to them. Taco Bell isn't even real food, let alone Mexican food. There we go. He's always one of them, man. There's always one of them.
Don't be.
There's always one of them, man. It's just always one of them.
Don't be hateful.
Nobody said that it was the best authentic Mexican food restaurant. Like, let's be serious.
Is Noah Brown a free agent? No, he's hurt for the Commanders.
He's breathing. You could just said he's breathing.
Yeah, well, he's on a team and hurt.
Yeah, breathing.
Yeah.
Always hurt. Yeah, give Mechie a shot. Okay, he might get one. As an Alabama fan, I can confirm Mechie was always overrated.
Wow.
Look at Jameson Williams does look like the guy.
Well, there's a whole nother universe that you and I have talked about at length where, Jameson Williams is available and they draft him instead of Kenyon Green.
Yeah. There's the world.
Or, 19 picks after Xavier Hutch or 19 picks after John Mechie when you could have just drafted James Cook.
Someone asks if you're going to review Wendy's Krabby Patty. What's the Krabby Patty?
So I don't know anything about SpongeBob. I never watched it. I know that's like a SpongeBob SquarePants on the cartoon thing. It's like a meal deal they have. I think it's just a burger. I think it's just a burger with like a special sauce. But hey, if the people want me to review it, I can review it.
Yeah, okay. That's really nice of you. You're gonna go eat Wendy's for the people. For the people. Yeah. Hey, I know the people had to twist your arm, but this right here is a man of the people. He is a man of the people. Only because y'all asked him to review a cheeseburger meal, he's gonna go do it. Look at that guy. That is a selfless human being right there.
The special meal includes a nod to the notoriously secret recipe for the Krabby Patty, with Wendy's burger including a top secret Krabby collab sauce. They also have a pineapple under the sea frosty. Now we're talking, baby.
We got supers coming in.
Okay.
Zach asks about Pickens. No, thank you. I don't want
Hell no. Keep him away from
If Mike Tomlin can't light a fire under your ass, I don't want to ask D'Amico to have to do that, especially when you got other stuff going on.
Hell no. Get George Pickens away from this team. And the
Gustavo. Why is Olave coming up? Why would what?
Olave, they're not dealing Olave.
Yeah, I like Olave, but I mean, why would they trade him? I think CJ would probably like that.
CJ would love that, but no, they're not. They're not trading Olave. They're not trading Olave.
Yeah.
Well, the available wide receiver market will show up in the next couple of weeks as teams start to kind of down the standings.
I'm in on this Debo thing. That's the only trade that I'm entertaining.
It's good.
It helps your run game too. He doesn't have to learn a new offense. Like all these other guys you're talking about, they got to learn a new offense. He doesn't need to learn a new offense. He doesn't even need to get to know Bobby Slowick. He doesn't even need to get to know D'Amico Ryans. Debo walks in here. It's an immediate dab. How you been, man? How's the wife? He's that big. Oh, damn. He was just this a couple of years ago. I remember that. Bobby. Hey, Bobby, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. Hey, run game. Figure it out. Is Debo Samuel what he was 2 years ago? No. Is he washed? I don't think so. He's banged up. San Francisco's in a weird spot.
Yep.
And I'll say this again from San Francisco's POV, they got two receivers that are the future. And a lot of people want them to be more of the present. They got Jennings and they got Ayuk. They just invested in Ayuk. Jennings is one of the most underrated players in the league. When who was out? When Jennings started, he had 3 touchdowns?
Yeah, he had a huge game.
Yeah, he had like 3 touchdowns. They want him out there. Damn near messed around and was a Super Bowl MVP last year.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of him next year. So let's get it.
So Darnell Mooney, they're Falcons are trying to win. They're not trading him.
What the hell is that?
Oh, Ricky Pearsall is going to be back for the 49ers soon too.
Yeah. They're getting Pearsall back. Yeah, they drafted Pearsall.
They get Pearsall back, and they'll get Christian McCaffrey back maybe at some point. So there's another couple.
I'm seeing you come over on this Debo thing.
I have not been against the Debo idea at all. Like it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Zach asked about Amari Cooper.
No, thank you.
That's a pass for me.
No, thank you.
That's a pass.
That's a no for me, dog.
How about Romeo Doubs from Green Bay?
No, thank you.
They're probably not trading him.
No, thank you.
Probably not trading him. Somebody said, hey, it looked like Jerry and Randy were trying to come back on that commercial. Think they got anything left? No.
Remember Jerry Rice with those braids, dude?
Remember Jerry Rice and the Seahawks?
Yeah, with those braids. They started like at the back of the ear. He had the Stevie Wonder braids.
Jerry Rice on Denver.
It's rough. Hung around too much.
It's rough.
That was the reaction though to Nico Collins injured reserve. We'll have more about this. We'll actually get more clarity on this in the coming hours. So that's the beauty of this. The news never stops. We're always on the scene. So in 2 hours we'll be live on the scene. We'll let you know what the injury report looks like. I'll give my basic bitch live practice report. Which always goes in the shorts. 10:30 night stream tonight. Cody Stoots will have a video after practice. So we got you covered. We're always on the scene. We're always on the beat. Top in the radio game, now top in the digital game, top in the written word. One of the tops in the digital game as well. Cody Stoots, we're on the scene We appreciate y'all for coming through. By the way, I got to mention this. Just I was gonna try not to do this. I got to mention this, Cody.
What?
Never mind.
No, tell me. You can't do that to the people.
Man, Aaron Wilson's had a rough time with injuries lately.
Oh, dude, if he told me I was healthy, I would tell my mom goodbye and get a living will going.
Monday he said this was day to day. Last week there was the Titus. It's been a rough go for him.
Like I will have to say this to Aaron today because I'd say it to his face. He has got to stop reporting on injuries because he's getting it wrong too much.
Tough, man.
Christian Harris a couple of times. Dameon Pierce a couple of times. Titus Howard last week. Nico Collins this week. And if Titus isn't out there, that's going to be a double up from his, the hamstring injuries aren't thought to be long-term.
Yeah. Been rough, man.
Gustavo asked, do they need to look into the strength and conditioning staff?
No, everybody's having injuries.
No, everybody gets hurt.
Man. You know what you are, Gustavo? You know what you are, Gustavo? You know what you are? You're fire the hitting coach guy in baseball season. I know you, Gustavo.
No.
I know your type, Gustavo. You're fire the hitting coach guy in baseball season.
No.
Love you, Gustavo.
Thank you for the super chats, man. Thank you. Oh, man, that's funny. All right, so Nico Collins, IR, missing at least 4 games, could be more. And we'll have more for you this afternoon as we go to practice and find out who is and who isn't practicing. And then I'm sure that will be one of the very first things asked to D'Amico Ryans is, why is Nico Collins headed IR?
Someone says, what about Christian Kirk? Let me think about that. No. Debo helps the run game. That's why I like Debo. Debo helps the run game. And he knows this system. And he knows this system.
If Jacksonville starts falling apart, sign me up for Christian Kirk.
Okay, there you go. Well, you're signed up.
Yeah, sign me up. Put me on.
I don't know if they want to trade us, but who knows?
I mean, do they have a choice?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. On the scene, practice in a couple of hours, little extra duty because there was breaking news. We're here for you, and Cody's here for you. So if you want him to eat a cheeseburger or whatever, he's here for you.
If the people want the Krabby Patty review with the pineapple under the sea frosty, the people will get the Krabby Patty review with the pineapple under the sea frosty. All right, it's coming their way. Eat good, sleep good. Be good.
No. You can't say eat good after saying that, buddy.
Well, I bet you it's going to be tasty.
No. That does not work here, sir. You got to come up with something else.
review food. Be good. Sleep good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.